It's the 3rd of November. Rabbi Levitt is back. Hooray!
All right, all
How are
right,
you?
all right.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. So, yes, it's quite an experience. But so we will continue with Pele Yoetz.
Mhm.
Chance to speak to the person that was doing the shear, so I didn't find out where exactly you're holding now.
Page 90.
90.
What?
Oh, wow. Oh, Beis HaKnesses.
Yep.
Oh boy, look at this. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Beis HaKnesses and what on page 90. Now this is interesting. Why is the it's in italics or something, this over here on the top of page 90. Is the
I think
quote?
we've done that already, Lou.
Yeah, we're on the next paragraph.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
we've done it, all right.
Okay, primary concern. That's where we're up to, the primary concern.
Yes.
All right. So, Lou, would you like to start off the reading today? The primary concern.
The primary concern in the service of God is the intent of one's heart. Excuse me a second, I gotta get this call.
Oh, all right.
I actually think that we're up to the start of Beis HaKnesset.
The start of what?
Beis HaKnesset, the next one. But anyway, we may as well do this.
The primary concern in the service of Hashem is the intent of one's heart. Hashem desires the heart. So whatever it is that we are doing, we have in our hearts our strong desire that it should be a service of Hashem. Oh, let me just take this call because I called my wife. Yeah, this is what it is when you're not when you don't go to yeshiva.
Right.
You have, hi. So I just called you. I just Baruch Hashem, B'chasdei Hashem, I got into the meeting. Yeah. I'll tell you later. Yeah, I got in. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Thank you. Okay. Right.
Well, will I continue then?
Yeah, I think so. You could continue.
A person should be fearful, trembling, quivering, and shuddering at the thought of entering the palace of the king when he's actually a vessel filled with shame and embarrassment. You should have in mind when he recites, "And I, in the abundance of your mercies, enter your house," but he is unworthy of entering the palace of the king, if not for his great kindness and the merit of his earlier fathers. You should have in mind when he says, "your mercy," that this is an allusion to Avraham Avinu, the paragon of kindness. "Your holiness," that this is an allusion to Yitzhak Avinu, who was sent
Have in mind when he says your mercy, rachamecha, that this is an allusion to Avram Avinu, who was the paragon of kindness. Your holiness, that it's an allusion to Yitzchak Avinu, who was sanctified on the altar, and with reverence for you, that it is an allusion to Yaakov Avinu. Where is he talking about? Is the question that we would like to ask.
No, when you just come into shul or something like that.
Oh, has he mentioned this before about your mercy and your holiness and your reverence?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, well, that's good. Okay, so let's continue then. That's the main thing.
So that was your holiness is an allusion to Yitzchak Avinu, who was sanctified on the altar, and with reverence for you, this is an allusion to Yaakov Avinu, who said, "How revered is this place." We rely upon their merit to enter into this holy place. As a result, each living being will take this thought to heart and stand in the synagogue in fear, trepidation, shivering, and trembling. He will not engage in any mundane talk, God forbid, in honor of the divine presence that resides there. It is well known that the Holy Zohar in Teruma 131b severely condemns anyone who speaks in the synagogue. It describes him as someone who disgraces the divine presence, and he has no portion in the God of Israel. See there. That he meant to say in the scene Teruma. A person's hair should stand on end when he understands the severity of the matter, and all hearts are pained that it has become something permitted in the eyes of many common people. It makes no difference that they sometimes hear about the seriousness of this matter or from the rabbis. Even so, they do not abandon their evil custom, and people continue as if nothing had changed. Woe unto such people from the day of justice, from the day of reproof. This plague has spread most profusely on the days of happiness, of joy and happiness, Yom Tovim, on the night of Simchat Bet Sha'ova, and the day of Simchat Torah, Purim, etc. Due to the pleasantness of the joyous occasion, people increase their laughter and levity. Anyone who has the power to protest should do so for the sake of the honor of his name. If a person does not have the ability to object, he should be careful to conduct himself as one who is mute and not open his mouth at all.
Yeah. So he's talking, he had a lot of things to say about what it is that he's protesting about, but I couldn't quite figure out what it is that he's protesting about over here. Then I see over here, it says he will not engage in any mundane talk in the honor of the divine presence that resides there in the Beis HaKnesses. So he's speaking mundane talk in the Beis HaKnesses. So this is a, right.
I think we said that mundane talk was anything that was not directly to do or even close to do with davening or with Kedusha, things that's to do with Kedusha. Otherwise, we shouldn't be saying anything at all. I think that's what we said.
Yeah. Now, this would even include someone who, in the middle of davening, is telling his friend a wonderful Dvar Torah. It's certainly not considered to be mundane talk. Saying Divrei Torah, it's not mundane, but nevertheless, in the basic Knesset, at the time of Tefillah, or at the time of Kriyas Torah, also, it's not appropriate. Not appropriate.
I think we're mentioning, I'm not too sure if it's next paragraph, or we mentioned about people talking once they've finished the Shemona Esrei. Then they sort of finish it as quickly as they can so that they can engage in some conversation with their friends.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so that's what he says. If a person does not have the ability to object, he should be careful to conduct himself as one who is mute. And most of the time, we don't really have the ability to object. I mean, we could certainly object. There's nothing holding us back from objecting and registering our objection to someone else's talking mundane talk in the basic Knesset. But the question is, will it do any good? It could even cause the person to raise his voice and get angry, and that you're bothering him to be able to speak what he wants to speak. So in a situation like that, so what I do? What I do is I leave the place where I am sitting. And then there's two benefits, I believe. One benefit is I'm not sitting. I mean, it doesn't stop.
Rabbi, I don't know if you can hear us, but you're frozen and we can't hear you.
Buddy, but it is a type of a protest, I believe, that the person will realize that the reason you got up and left is because he's violating the sanctity of the basic Knesset. So whether or not he stops talking as a result of the fact that you have registered your protest is another matter, but nevertheless, you have registered your protest.
Well, once they were talking behind me a lot, and I turned around and glared at them, and they apologized and stopped talking and started to continue to daven. And the next time they started talking,
Oh, wow.
the next time they started talking, I sort of turned around, and by the time I'd nearly finished turning around, they said, "Oops," and they went back to davening.
Well, I think the people should hire you, Roy. That you have a special talent over here to be able to stop people from talking.
Yeah.
Well, if they see a person like yourself, an esteemed individual, that they get a protest from, then they listen.
I was a bit. I think I was a bit frightened underneath is what the reaction would be. But anyway.
So in any case, we see over here that we should not be the ones who are afraid to register a protest. The other person should be afraid to do such a thing. But in any case, that's what it is, right? That's what it is. All right. All right, so we go to the next paragraph. There are individuals. And we ask Lou to continue, please.
Okay. There are individuals who want to be careful about not speaking in the synagogue. When others speak to them, it seems embarrassing or haughty to not respond and tell them that he does not want to converse in the synagogue. As a result, he too speaks with a heavy heart. Eventually, it becomes to him like something is permitted. The man who fears God will be seized with trembling at the thought of the gravity of this matter, and he will not be embarrassed to declare, I will not speak in the synagogue. This can be compared to someone for whom they want to steal an enormous sum or kill him. He will not be worried about embarrassment or anything else in order to find a safe haven. How much more so does one need to have pity on his soul and the honor of his creator? This is a fundamental principle. One must not violate any prohibition or refrain from the fulfillment of any commandment due to embarrassment. About this, it was said, be as fierce as a leopard to do the will of your Father in heaven. The person who is careful in this matter not only save himself from severe punishment, but will also be granted a reward like one who performs a mitzvah, who has fulfilled, and my mikdash you will revere. For the synagogue is considered like a miniature base hamikdash, and one needs to venerate it.
Okay, so people want to be careful about not speaking in the shul, but they become embarrassed to refrain if somebody speaks to them. So then they end up speaking. But then he says that then they end up having not any fear when they do speak. But what should one do? He says a man who fears Hashem will not be embarrassed to declare, I will not speak in the synagogue. Now, when he says this, I would imagine he doesn't mean to say that you respond to the person that talked to you in the shul and you say to him, I will not speak in the synagogue, because then you're speaking in the synagogue. Unless you want to say you're not speaking mundane speech, though. You're telling the person that I will not speak to you in the synagogue. This is my question over here about what he's what exactly he's talking about over here.
I think it's that he does say to the person, I will not speak in shul, and that declaration is part of his davening. It's a part of his avodah.
It's part of necessary speech in the basic Knesset.
Yes.
And even if he says, and you shouldn't do so either, it still is. Yes,
it says I appreciate it if you will not speak also to me. I'll talk with you later on.
That would certainly seem to be permitted, because then you're rebuking him. You're admonishing him and pointing out to him that he should not be doing what he's doing over here, which would be permitted. Okay.
You'll be trying to get him to avoid a nevera.
Sorry, I just heard you'll.
Can you hear me? No. You're frozen. You can't hear, can you, Luke? Oh, there you are.
How about you froze?
I froze. Uh-huh.
Uh,
Okay.
Whatever you said the last sentence, we didn't hear it.
Oh, what I was saying is that I didn't hear the last sentence of Roy.
Yeah. And now I've forgotten what I said. What did I say?
We were talking about what it is, what would constitute
Oh, that's right. Right.
what's necessary to say to this person who talks to you in shul.
Right. So you'd be trying to prevent him from committing an avera by rebuking him.
It can backfire though. I once had a situation
Right.
where somebody was talking right next to me, and I was in the middle of Shemona Esrei, and I went, shh. And he got so insulted that when I finished my Shemona Esrei, he beckoned me to go out of the shul, and he chastised me
Mm-hmm.
for having
Yeah,
the
what did he
temerity
say?
to criticize him.
So it's so interesting. If you found a person eating chazer fleisch and you go over to him and you say, my dear Jew, what are you doing over here? Wouldn't he just be embarrassed? He would, or maybe not. Maybe he would also, he would start shouting at you. What are you telling me
your
to
own
do?
business.
You might,
Uh-huh.
yeah, might say, who are you to tell me what to do?
That's a likely response.
Well, let's say the person is, I mean, he's known to be a shomer Torah mitzvahs,
Mhm.
right?
All right.
So I don't know. I would think that the person would be a bit embarrassed that someone caught him doing something that which is a lowly thing. It's an avera.
It might be shocking.
What?
He may not have realized what it was.
Oh, okay.
Case I'm
So
giving you, the person was an Orthodox Jew, a member of the shul, and
yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah.
insulted.
Yeah, see that what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to point out that I think that when it comes to this particular avera of talking in shul,
Mhm.
it's gotten to such a point that people are not embarrassed at it whatsoever, which I think is not the case if you chanced upon a person doing a different avera.
Right.
I agree.
Yep.
My point is that, you can get into trouble. After that experience, I mean, I had a fight with this guy. I ended up having to apologize to him because I didn't want to have such animosity. After that, I changed my policy. I don't shush people anymore. I just ignore them.
Okay, that's the right. We just have to say, okay, Hashem wants me to. This is the situation I find myself in, and I will accept the challenge and try to daven in spite of the disturbances that are around me. Like, for example, on the plane, right? You don't go and shush people that are on the plane, when you're in the middle of davening. you know, because that's a different story, because they're allowed to do what they're doing over there. You know, I just stay in my seat, and that way I avoid you know, stewardesses tell me to go back to my seat, and I avoid seeing women who are not properly clothed, which would make my bracha a serious question of whether it's a bracha levatala. And I find that I got much more kavana over here in davening when I'm at my seat, even though I'm sitting down, even though I'm not davening in a minyan. And I think that's the proper. And I'm not making a chilul Hashem, because people will think, oh, what are these people doing? They're blocking the bathroom. They're blocking me to be able to get to the Coke over there. And the stewardess doesn't like it, because they're in the way of her ability to do her job, which is all true, really. So anyway, but that's not in the basic Knesset. Basic Knesset, that's why we have a basic Knesset. We have a place where we can go, and that's what it's set aside for. It's not an airplane. It's not a bus, and it's a place which is specifically designated for tefillah, and therefore whoever is not engaging in tefillah is really out of bounds. So if we can't get other people to comply with the fact that this is a basic Knesset, then at the very least, then we ourselves understand that this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. We have to treat the basic Knesset, he says here, like a Beis Hamikdash ma'at. It's like we're in the Beis Hamikdash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. We will get tremendous reward for this, because this is something which is really not, it's not, people don't get it. They think that the basic Knesset place, to be friendly and talk and they haven't seen this person in 2 weeks and all this type of stuff. But it's not so. It's not so. We have to focus on why it is that we're there. We're there to daven to Hashem.
Yeah. One of the shuls that I was at in Australia, the Rav used to stop the service and wait till everybody stops talking, and then he would continue it.
Wow.
But that happened frequently, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
He'd say something sometimes too. But it wasn't a very easy job.
Right. I mean, one way to stop it is to learn about tefillah and what tefillah is, and the greatness and the exaltedness and the tremendous privilege that it is to be able to speak to Hashem, and that Hashem is listening to us. And if we internalize these things, then we'll want to go to the basic Knesset and take advantage of that which the basic Knesset has to offer, and that will be our priority in going to the basic Knesset.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to be friendly to other people, we can do so not during the times that of the prayer and the Kriyas HaTorah. At least that. Okay, so he has more to say. And we go back to Roy again.
Included in reverence for the synagogue, the shul, is refraining from shouting, even just to call another person or to protest against people who are acting inappropriately. Rather, when a
Mhm.
Rather, when a man wants to speak to someone, he should go near them and softly speak pleasant words with respect, like one who stands in the place of the king. Our eyes see how people stand before ministers and judges with great respect, and no boisterous sound or response is heard, just a small and delicate voice. This is the cause of great lament. Even the non-Jews who worship idols stand with great respect, fear, and awe when they visit their places of worship. In truth, a person who stands before a judge sees that which is before him. If he wants to speak any frivolous talk, the judge's anger will confound him, for the king's wrath is likened unto the angels of death. Goodness, the king's wrath is likened unto angels of death. This is not so regarding one who stands in shul, who does not see that which is before him, and from whom retribution is not exacted immediately. Rather, in the way that a person wants to go, heaven will allow him to proceed. His evil inclination stands ready on his right to prosecute him and aggressively incites him to violate the will of his creator. This is the source of all man's evil on earth. However, a man's obligation for one who is a Jew, who believes with complete faith in the existence of God, the awesome and fearful King, whose glory fills the entire world, whose light and divine presence appear most strongly in his holy place, who supervises all the ways of men to recompense each person according to his ways, who pays a man for even his casual speech, whether for good or for bad, today to do them and tomorrow to receive their reward and punishment, is to control his evil inclination. This is his responsibility, and so it is befitting, for this is the purpose of every human being. Fortunate is the man who fears Shem in every place, especially in his holy sanctuary. He is silent before him. The man's voice will not be heard when he enters the holy site to speak with his friend. The medieval Torah sages established a great protective device not to speak with one's friends, even words of Torah, in the synagogue, in order that others should not suspect him of idle talk and come to grant permission to themselves for the same.
Mhm. Okay, he said an awful lot over here.
Yes.
And yeah, okay. So one point that comes out over here, what he started with, is even when we are doing something which would be allowed, which to protest against someone who is acting inappropriately in the shul. So it's proper to protest. So, but how does that protest take effect? So he says, for the sake of the kavod of the palace of the king, we should not shout. There's no shouting in a shul. There's no such thing. Even if it's for the sake of a mitzvah, he says, like is registering a protest. So you have to do it in a so that's another reason. In addition to the fact that you don't want the other person to react with anger because he may do so in any case. Oh, there's somebody who wants to come in. Who is this?
His name is Aaron Imowitz.
Yes,
Aaron. Remember? Aaron?
Well, to
Yes,
get the
of
new
course.
number. I'm here. I'm here.
Shalom Aleichem.
Last
Yeah.
Shalom, yes. Okay,
Nice to have
I'm
you
back
with
here.
us.
I'm back here for the next 6 months, and hopefully we'll be able to participate fully and benefit. Okay.
Very nice. Oh, wonderful. Wow, wow.
What? And what are you? What are you teaching, Rabbi?
We are in the middle of discussing the Beis HaKnesses in the Holy Sefer Pele Yoetz.
I'm not familiar with that sefer. Who's the Machaber?
The Pele Yoetz was written by Rabbi Eliezer Papa over 200 years ago in Eastern Europe.
Can you
Is
see that?
Is that a Hasidic background? Pop-up sounds like a Hasidic person.
Oh, perhaps, I'm not sure. Could be.
Okay.
Yes, one would think that you are right, based upon he has many references over here to the Zohar and to Chazal, but he also mentions many Gemaras as well, and the Halacha is paskined in the Shulchan Aruch as well. So he's quite it's a classic sefer, that's for sure.
Is your background Litvish, Hasidic, Yekish? I like to know who I'm dealing with.
It's
Not that
Torah
important.
it's Torah True Judaism.
That sounds very, very nice. Torah to Judaism. Okay, sounds very modern.
And sometimes Torah True Judaism comes from Hasidim. Sometimes it comes from Sfardim. Sometimes it comes from other people. But this is what we're after.
We call Talmidai his Kalti. Is that your Sprechwort?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Sorry for interfering. I'm sorry, but I just got your number. Okay. Continue, please. I don't want to interfere.
Thank you. I want to point out that also this matter of children running through the shul, especially when they can't be reprimanded because we're in the middle of Shemona Esrei, and they're running through the shul and yelling at each other and running up to the bimah and onto the aron and
Oh boy! Wow.
It's a bit difficult.
But weren't we all children? And is that the next generation of our Mispalim?
Yep.
I run a shul in Pennsylvania where I'm the president for many years. And when there are kinderlach there, some of the old timers don't like it. But I say, without kinderlach, we're not going to have any future. So we have to look at a balance. But okay,
Yeah.
I understand. It could be disturbing.
It's not good. It is disturbing. It's fine for them to run around and all that, of course, but in the playground, do we go and daven in the playground? Do we go and say Shemona Esrei in the playground so that the children can't do anything?
Oh, that's what we did for the last year and a half.
That's
We're
That's true. Now they're taking their revenge.
We were
But,
sent out.
the point is we should teach our children the right way to behave at different places, the right things to do. That's what we're doing when we're bringing them up.
We should be the role model, and we should never talk in shul, and we should never disturb. Okay, as long as that's our goal, then the kinderlach will learn. But not everybody reaches that level. Okay.
Yes, and
We have to try.
if they don't, then their place is not in the shul at that time until they grow up a bit more.
That's fine. Okay.
Okay, very good. Well said, Roy. I agree. And so does the Mishnah Berurah, for what it's worth. Anybody wants to take the advice of the Mishnah Berurah.
Mm.
It says exactly those words.
Oh, I didn't write it.
Okay.
But remember a minute.
All right.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
11:31.
Okay, so we're going to Oh, and how is Mayor and his wife? I heard there was an operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had an operation yesterday, and we got a report from her daughter that it went well.
Oh, Baruch Hashem.
She's in a little bit of pain, but she's
course.
in good shape. She's resting. She's going to be in the
Okay.
hospital until Sunday or Monday.
Okay.
And Mayor spent the night there, so that's why he's not here today.
Right, of course.
Thank you.
Her
Sarah
name
Tikva
is
Bas
Sarah
Yehudis.
Yeah.
Okay. Bezrat Hashem. Okay. Shlema. Very good. So we will be back at the quarter of the hour at this same station for Baba Kama. So we invite
Right.
everybody to join us at that time. Baba Kama.
Thank you, Rabbi.